Assalamu alaikum. Good morning, good timing, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity and allowing us to be presenting here and sharing some of our work. On behalf of Ghiath, Hawari, and myself, would like to share some of the insights that we have gained about women education leadership and career guidance. So my colleague Ghiath is well known for promoting design thinking, social innovation labs, and business strategy, in addition to working with youth and character building. You can find a lot if you Google his name or you go to LinkedIn. I'm also honored to share with you some of my insights that I gained through my education leadership about teacher leadership, contributing also to women leadership, as I worked as a former principal in K-12 and teacher, in addition to higher education and research and teaching, in addition to contributing to many initiatives around the world, for example, International Congress of School Effectiveness and Improvement Education Leadership Network, leading for innovation in education, and also co-founder of Women EdMina. I'm happy to share with you some of those insights that I also gained as a mother of 5, and my experience with my colleagues as a Muslim women in different countries around the world. So the work that we will be going through, we're going to have an overview, quick overview about the glossary, about context, our approach, and some of the findings that we had gained so far. As I always start, I would like to emphasize our definition of education leadership. When we talk about education, we're talking about a comprehensive approach. We're talking about the development of the whole individual learners. And we're talking about leadership, we're talking about the process of nurturing and developing the whole person, including knowledge, skills, attitudes, attributes, so that we would have a positive outcome. Because unfortunately, sometimes we have negative or unwanted kind of outcomes, but we want to focus on formal, informal settings, in person or virtual. So it's a whole process. And we're talking about career. We're not talking about job or profession. We're talking about the path that individuals takes as a lifestyle. So all the activities, goal-directed activities that individual engages in to develop their learning. And if you want to go and explore more within the Asian Pacific Career Development Association glossary, you would find lots regarding career, job, vocation, calling, and we have a long list of that. Another thing that we're talking about career guidance. And there are lots of kind of definitions regarding career readiness, career development, different things. What we're referring here in our work is about the services to help individuals at any age. And this is following the UNESCO definition, so that they can develop and plan for their careers, which we had defined earlier. And there to make their education, training, choices meaningful for them. And as you all know, career guidance goes within many assessments. It might go through interest, qualifications, skills, others. We're including all that and hope that in the future, we're talking about future, and our definition is not only in this life, but it's also in afterlife. I know it's lots of grossly. So we have women, we have education leadership, and we have career guidance. And we were talking about women, there are lots of theories. If you can have the list on my left hand, so that there are things related to roles, there are things related to conflict, choice therapy, there are transition theory. There are lots of theories that try to address how women would go through career guidance and career kind of readiness programs. In addition, one of my colleagues, Hillary, tried to work on working like a mother. However, we have our own way of defining and dealing with women needs. So it's not about being equal to men as much as understanding their uniqueness and dealing with their needs differently, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the creator, had assigned us to specific roles. And we need to make sure that they are addressed, they are supported, and they are explored, giving the opportunity to have different planning and different ways. In this study, we had followed 2 theoretical frameworks. We're talking about Women Ecological Education Leadership Model that I worked with my colleagues in one of our books, and also design thinking. So this is the book. You have the QR code if you like to go through it. And we're talking about this model that I will just mention quickly. Start with the self-empowerment. This is something really needed. So how women themselves, they can understand their selves, they can reflect, and they can communicate. And that would take us to another concept of this model, which is role modeling, that accepting different roles and sharing stories. Stories mean success stories and failure, because that's part of the learning process. In addition, being able to work on mentorship and this kind of relationship to build capacities and to share and to build different types of knowledge and to transform, to kind of transformative leadership skills. In addition, this all need to be supported within entrepreneurship and within a society, within a community building. It's not only women themselves, but it was better to be part of different roles and different levels. And we're talking about self-awareness. It's important that to mention we have different selves. We have historical self, we have the biological, the culture, the political. There are lots of things that we need to refer to, specifically when we're talking about Arab women in Arab countries. And we were talking about design thinking. This is not a new concept. So it started in around 1960s. There are different levels and it had evolved till we have the level of IDEO that we're following. And we define design thinking as a process of accelerated problem solving. So it's a problem solving, but it's accelerated. And it gives deeper understanding of the oneself. And we consider women exploring themselves and working on themselves. This is part of solving the problems that they face so that they would plan for their careers and plan for their futures. And we're talking about design thinking is not a linear process. So we go through identifying the challenge, working with the user, which in this case, ourselves, and also as women, and also trying to generate ideas, solutions, then to test, which is really important within the design thinking approach. And you can tell from the process that I will be describing, we work on interviews, field research. We also talk about literature analysis, not only from Western context, but also from our Arabic, Muslim, classical resources that we have to test and develop, which enabled us to develop our own model that we started working on as part of the Soft Fortune that had been awarded Innovative Award 2020 within XE GPCC Innovation Award. And we also had worked on that as a talented for a different version. The first one was for undergraduate, and the second one was for women in different ages and different roles. When we talk about Arab countries, it's important to know that we're talking about around 23 countries. We share commonalities in language and in religion. However, the social, economic, there are lots of differences, especially that this is a conflict zone and crisis area. As many of you know about Syria, Palestine, Yemen, Libya, and many other countries in many different situations. So women in our society face lots of displacement for different reasons, even if they're moving from one country to a wealthy country. So that's something else that they're working on. The research questions that we had been working on is to see how the participants had received the application of design thinking and career guidance process, in addition to any improvements that they were looking for. So we interviewed around 15 participants that they had been through programs that we had developed from Palestine, Jordan, Yemen, Iraq, and Syria, Saudi Arabia, in addition to Saudi Arabia. Those narratives explored formal and informal women education leadership practices and how career guidance helped them in those kind of settings. And one of the important results that we had found that all of them had been enabled to have or to adapt the growth mindset that they can do and they can develop their skills, positive impact, and being proactive. And we're talking about thinking as a designer. It means that they are optimistic. They're looking at the bigger picture, not only a small, tiny piece of the challenge that they are facing, and they work together in different communities, either face-to-face or virtual, and they always work in trial and error to test what they are trying to do, in addition to understanding themselves, communicating their needs, and also understanding others. So some of the main findings that we would like to share with you at this stage: motherhood. 2 participants had been navigating many of the opportunities, how to develop resources for their children and friends. It's not only to work as an entrepreneurs, but also how to connect educational aspects into their examples and into their programs and into their initiatives. Even if it's catering, they were aiming to transfer some of the knowledge from their home countries to the new place that they had moved and shifted to. One of the other findings that we find it really interesting about religion. So they're not only kind of a false hope, they were, it was embedded in their beliefs and their, considering that part of their good deeds and referring it to religion and as part of building their resilience. All participants had been referring to networks to support each other and to be mentoring. And one of them gave an example of how that she established reading group to discuss selected books to help and support female students in her community, although it was a different place and environment, so that they each can support each other through storytelling embedded within the books that they were discussing. So we talked about motherhood and mentoring, and we also mentioning about entrepreneurship, where all participants had initiated their small businesses within their local communities, either the ones that they stayed in or when they moved to other ones. And they're trying to educate and provide support to other women. One of the participants, she mentioned that she started her cooking classes just to help a newly married to master the art of preparing traditional Syrian food. So we have lots of recommendations, but some of them that we would like to focus on is, it's better if we have a mixed method so that we have gained more insights from different dimensions. It's also important to share resources in Arabic, especially for Muslim women, not only to rely on Western traditional practices or modern practices, because sometimes they would lose that track if they're just relying it without embedded within their identity. And we need to have lots of awareness campaigns just to inform them about the availability of these resources and how they can support each other. There are lots to discuss about career guidance, about what exactly they need to do and how to identify the resources and deal with their own self-empowerment. Thank you, everyone. Looking forward to discussion and questions.